Hello and welcome to Chapter 1, Introduction to SQL. In this chapter we will cover the following points. What is SQL? What are the parts of a database? What are sample SQL statements? What are the parts of a simple SQL query? What does the SQL query structure look like? And we'll also go over about four SQL query examples at the end of the chapter. So first of all, what is SQL? This is a term that is tossed around a lot in the tech world. You may have heard of SQL, but not really fully understood exactly what it means. What SQL stands for, also known as SQL, what that stands for is Structured Query Language. So I looked up Wikipedia's definition, and the definition of SQL is a special purpose programming language designed for managing data held in a relational database management system, which is also known as RDBMS. Really what that means is SQL is used, it's a programming language that is used to either retrieve or manipulate data within a database. So it can be anything from a very simple statement to something that's super complex and anywhere in between. So first of all, what is a database and what are its parts? A database is simply a group of tables stored in a relational way. So say for instance you had a bunch of tables that had client data. You would have a client database that holds all of those tables that pertain to client data. If you had a bunch of property tables, so it could be any kind of vehicle information, home information, boat information, all of that information would be stored in one database called property database. A table is a part of a database. What the table is consisted of, it's a set of data made up of columns and rows, as seen below. The customer name in the example below is the table name. A column, which is highlighted in yellow below, is a set of data values of a particular simple data type. And really what that means, it could be your customer number, last name, first name, any kind of unique ID. It could be your address. It could be anything that you would need in a table. And a row, or sometimes called a record, you may hear it either way, is highlighted in red below. And what that is all of the column data for a given entity requested within one table. So for instance, you see below I have John Green's row highlighted below. So his row consists of his customer number, his last name, and his first name. All of that data is his row within the customer name table. So some of the sample SQL statements that you can use within SQL is a select statement, and what that does is simply retrieve data. It does no manipulation whatsoever with the data in a table. Statements that we'll discuss in future chapters, you can use a create statement, which is used to create tables or views. You can do an insert statement, which is used to insert new rows into a table. An update is used to manipulate any kind of data within any of those columns or rows. And a delete will physically delete a row from the table that you are specifying. And last is a merge statement. And a merge statement is simply taking data from two different tables and putting it into one new table. So for this chapter, we will just simply go over the select statement. The select statement is made up of different parts, but we're going to do a simple one in the first chapter, and that just entails a select statement, a from statement, and a where statement. In the select statement, you will list any columns in the tables that you are wanting to retrieve for either reporting purposes or something that you'll use further in processing. A good rule of thumb is you only want to select columns that you will actually use or want. If you do a select asterisk, that means select all. And if you do that, you're going to be retrieving data that you're not going to use. Thus, the performance of that SQL statement is really going to be delayed. If you only select the columns that you need, you will have much better performance on your SQL statement. The from clause, that statement is that's where you put all of your tables that you're going to be using in your where clause. for every table that's in your from statement does not have to be in your select statement row. So you may be selecting one piece of data from one table, but you may have 5 different tables you have to join together in order to get that one piece of data. So your from will have all the tables that are listed in your where clause. And the where clause is just the predicate indicating which criteria you need to retrieve your data. So here's a better format for it. You see, select your column name from your table name, where a column name equals either a variable, some sort of a constant, or another column name whenever you're joining tables together. So we'll go through 4 very basic examples now. First of all, the example number 1 will be, we want to select the customer number for Stuart Johnson from the customer name table. And I give you the customer name table down below. So the simple SQL statement that you will write for this is you'll select customer number from customer name where the last name equals Johnson and the first name equals Stewart. The tick marks that are here around the names indicates that that is a string. So you don't do that for numeric values. You only do it for alphanumeric values within your where clause. So if we write this SQL statement, this is the result you'll get. You'll get the customer name from the customer name table. You'll only get the customer number of 003 because we only want to retrieve the customer number for Stuart Johnson, which is 003. In example 2, we want to select all customer numbers with the last name of Johnson from the customer name table. This is the exact same table we used in the previous example. So in order to retrieve the data that we need, we want to write the following SQL statement. Select customer number from the customer name table where the last name is equal to Johnson. And when we do that, you will see there are 2 individuals with the last name of Johnson in the table, in the customer name table. And here's the result you'll get. In the customer name table, you'll get customer numbers 003 and 004 because we only want to retrieve the customer numbers for those individuals that have the last name of Johnson. And you see that Stuart and Mary Johnson both have the last name of Johnson and their customer numbers are 003 and 004. In example 3, we want to select the first name of all records with the last name of Johnson from the customer name table. So in order to do that, we select the first name from the customer name table where last name equals Johnson. Again, you see the tick marks around Johnson indicating it's an alphanumeric field, which just means alphabetic. And when we do that, you get the result listed here. The first names of Stuart and Mary, because we only wanted to select the first name of all the records with the last name of Johnson. And you see down below that Stuart and Mary both have the last name of Johnson. And notice in this, we did not select the customer number, so that's why you do not see 003 and 004 that you've seen in the previous 2 examples. And the last and final example that we have is example number 4, and we want to select the customer number and the first name with the last name of Johnson from the customer name table. So in order to do that, we write the simple SQL statement here. Select customer number, first name, and notice that there's a comma after customer number indicating there is more to be selected after that very first row. If you only select one, you do not put the comma. That comma simply means it's continuous. There's another variable after that that you're wanting to select. So there is no comma after first name as you see on this slide. We want to select customer number, first name, from the customer name table where the last name equals Johnson. And when we do that, this is what will be returned. The customer numbers of 003 and 004 with the first name of Stuart and Mary. So in this chapter, we have gone over that SQL can be used to retrieve or manipulate data, and exactly what is SQL. We've also gone over what is a database and what does it consist of. We've looked at some of the sample SQL statements that you can use to either manipulate or retrieve data from a table or tables. You've learned the sample form of a select statement. It's very easy. There is more. And we also went over we processed some 4 sample SQL queries. So in chapter 2, we will learn other parts of a select statement. There are more statements that can be included besides the select from and where. For a select statement, you can also have an order by clause, which will just order your result set. You can have a group by clause, which just groups like data when you retrieve it. And you can also use a having clause, which simply means that you look for data having a specific criteria. So with that being said, if you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. If you need anything clarified further, please don't hesitate to contact me. You can find my contact information on the syllabus listed on our course website on Blackboard. It is listed under the syllabus. There's also an attachment within the syllabus that you can use. So if you guys have any questions, please feel free to contact me. Thank you.